Bored. I've been having this problem lately in the middle of the night where I'm just really bored and I want to talk about things. And I'm probably going to repeat myself. I have that kind of issue where I just kind of repeat myself a lot, talk a lot about the same things over and over again, but that's okay. Um, I guess in the title of the video, I mentioned something about movies. And I guess I want to start off this way. It's like, what is your number one top favorite movie of all time? For me, it's obviously Good, Bad, and the Ugly. That changed recently with the Red Letter Media video that they did. They did a review on Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and I've talked about this in an upload before. But like that really solidified why I think that is like my favorite movie of all time. Just to kind of reiterate what they said in that video, Good, Bad, and the Ugly was like a video or as a movie made in Italy in conjunction with Spain that also had actors from Germany. And there are so many interesting things about Good, Bad, and the Ugly. And I know I used to say like Godfather Part 2 was my favorite movie of all time, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I can get into that in a second. But like Good, Bad, and the Ugly is just like so interesting. And it's also like so chaotic. Like if you go on IMDb and you read trivia about Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Eli Wallach, who played Tuco, he was a Brooklyn Jew, I want to say, playing a Mexican guy, which, in today's world, that's totally unacceptable, right? But like there was like this thing on the set that was like a vial of like poisonous chemicals, and he almost mistook it for water, and he almost drank the fucking thing. And had Eli Wallach drank that thing, he would have fucking died. He would have fucking died. So I'm not saying that's why Good, Bad, and the Ugly is the best movie ever made. Like, if you go back to the Red Letter Media review, they will talk about how like they played music on the set as they were filming because, of course, all the audio got dubbed later. And the reason that is so like kind of chaotic is like it does, like the Red Letter Media video explains, that does kind of screw up with the pacing a little bit. Like that does kind of mess with the pacing. And honestly, I don't think it messes with it at all. I think that's what makes it even better of a movie. But then Godfather Part 2, I've always said, again, this is part of like IMDb, like kind of like influencing me like way too much. But like Godfather Part 2 was like the number one movie of all time for years and years. And I almost tend to agree with that because all of the stuff with Michael Corleone and Al Pacino's character is original content. That is not something that they took from the book. Mario Puzo's The Godfather, like that's not something they just like borrowed and reiterated it to be in a movie. That was literally a original script. Like Godfather Part 2 was half original, half taken from a book. And I think that's what's so awesome about Godfather Part 2, because a lot of the stuff, it's set in, what is it, the 50s? Or the 60s when they're in Nevada, like that had to have been incredibly hard to write. Like that had to have been incredibly hard to script and direct and all that, especially because you're following up one of the biggest movies of all time in Godfather Part 1, So I don't know. It's so hard. Like I can't decide what's my favorite movie of all time. What's your favorite movie of all time? I mean, for me, it's like a toss-up between Good, Bad, and the Ugly and Godfather Part 2. Like, I kind of ignore Part 1 because Part 1 is really just like, you got that big wedding scene at the beginning, which is at the end kind of like utterly pointless, right? Because you got like this guy who's like a notorious wife beater and an asshole from the Bronx or whatever. And I don't know. So there's some other stuff that's going on too. John Woo's The Killer. Oh man, wait, what was that one? Hard Boiled? Man, I used to love Hard Boiled, man. We should talk about Hard Boiled. Like, that was like, they did some crazy things in that movie, which was released like in the very, very early 90s in like Hong Kong. John Woo's Hard Boiled. But then I haven't seen The Killer, so I don't really know much about that movie. I mean, if you're going to talk about like Asian filmmakers, you have to talk about Kurosawa. Kurosawa is probably like he's in a league of his own, kind of like Stanley Kubrick, right? Like Kurosawa, he, as far as like the cinematography goes, as far as like the storytelling goes, he was definitely in like a league of his own, and I would definitely classify Stanley Kubrick in the same way. Stanley Kubrick movies aren't like the most entertaining. They're not like the most riveting thing in the world, but you can tell like you're dealing with somebody who's like a total genius. Like this is a guy that grew up playing chess and took digital photography, not digital photography. He took he did all kinds of photography, when he was just like a little kid. And obviously he probably was a pretty set up, well, young gentleman being from New York City and stuff like that, right? So that's probably why Stanley Kubrick became one of the greatest filmmakers of more time. But yeah, no, Kurosawa, every single Kurosawa movie, man, is pretty much top notch. My favorite one, obviously, is Hidden Fortress because Star Wars so heavily relied on Hidden Fortress. Like they copied that. You have the princess, you have like the wise old sage who's like Obi-Wan. The two peasants are basically R2D2 and C3PO. Hidden Fortress by Akira Kurosawa. That, if you haven't seen that, man, like literally, like stop watching this right now and go watch it because Star Wars relied so heavily on that film. I don't really have much else I want to say, to be honest. We're already at 7 minutes. I seen the Rolling Stones released a new album and there's only like one good song. And then there's like some Beatles song that just got released, which I don't know if that was like AI generated or what, where like they just kind of like generated John Lennon's voice or some shit like that. So there's some weird shit going on right now. And I honestly want to say like a lot of this is because of COVID, because COVID has made things so fucking weird. COVID has really changed the dynamic of things. Like I can remember the first year of COVID, which what was that, 2020 or 2019 or 2021? Like that first year, you're like, oh, whatever. This is fucking bullshit. Who cares? This is going to be easy to coast through this. But now when you're looking at years later, this is like becoming more and more of a challenge. And that's a problem. And something has to be done about the fact that our society has changed so much in 5 years. And since this is a 2 a.m., it's a 2:30 a.m. live stream, I think we're going to end it there. But it's just like, we got to do something, man. We got to have like some kind of internet resurgence. We need better content. We can't just have a million fucking podcasts. Oh, the last thing the world needs is another goddamn podcast by some fucking celebrity that nobody cares about, or another fucking live stream by somebody that nobody fucking cares about. We need content that is genuine. We need content that is like well thought out and well produced. And Equilibrium, that's like a, man, I haven't heard about that movie in a long time with Christian Bale. That was basically like a Matrix ripoff, wasn't it? Equilibrium, Arian. I mean, whether it was or not, I mean, it's kind of beside the point because that was kind of a take on like dystopian kind of society and stuff like that, So we yeah, it's like Crack DeMarco just said, we have to go back, man. I don't really have much to say. I just needed like 10 minutes to kill before I go to bed here. So it was nice seeing you all. I don't really have much else to talk about other than like what else? There's movies like Lawrence of Arabia that you guys need to watch. And if you think a movie like that is really boring, you have to just understand and appreciate like how hard of a movie that must have been to make in the middle of the fucking desert, right? Like where did they film that? In Lebanon or something like that? Like Lawrence of Arabia, that's like, it's, what do you call it? Like a grand scale picture, right? Because it involves like hundreds and hundreds of people. But like, I would definitely put that in my top 5. What else would I put in my top 5? Godfather Part 2, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Lawrence of Arabia, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, because Jack Nicholson's a fucking psycho, and everybody who doesn't love a fucking great psycho actor like Jack Nicholson or Clint Eastwood, you know. And what would I say for number 5? Ooh, that's a tough one. Ooh, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, it's got to be Star Wars. I don't know how you guys probably didn't really know this about me, but I watched the original Star Wars trilogy over and over and over again growing up, and I read the books. I read the graphic novels. We're talking about the good ones, right? We're not talking about like the new ones that kind of like fucking suck. But the dog is pretty nice though, and drugs. Oh, wait, are you talking about Equilibrium? I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about there. But anyways, yeah, no, man, like, I don't know if you guys knew this about me, but I was like a huge Star Wars nerd when I was like in junior high school when I was growing up, because I just thought like that whole universe you could get lost in for days and days and weeks and weeks. And I was a big Star Wars fan, especially of the expanded universe. And of course, he had all those great video games like Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, and Dark Forces, and all those different Star Wars games. Rogue Squadron. You had all these amazing Star Wars games and graphic novels and books. And this guy right here said, he could tell, because I mean, we made a couple Star Wars videos, right? Like we copied. I know a long time ago, God, somebody, BW Dalek 5, who I know is going to watch this at some point, you're going to have to find that fucking video we did, which was based off a graphic novel. It was like a comedic graphic novel about Darth Vader and the Emperor talking about building the Death Star. What was it called? The Death Star is Born? Somebody's got to find that. I mean, it's not original writing. We pretty much just, there's a little bit of original writing in there, but most of it was copied from a graphic novel that I read. And somebody's got to find that. That was a cool little video that we did, and that would explain like my love for Star Wars back in the day. Now, oh God, if we want to talk about movies, that new trilogy was fucking awful. Talking about The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and The Last Skywalker, like that shit. Oh my God, man. Just even saying those 3 fucking titles makes me want to vomit. So, okay. I think we'll end it right there. But Knights of the Old Republic, crack. DeMarco just said Knights of the Old Republic. Man, when I first played that game and I finished it for the first time, it was like such like a letdown feeling, because it's like I knew I was never going to play a game like this ever again. I know people really talk up KOTOR 2, Knights of the Old Republic 2, but Knights of the Old Republic 1, man, if you're a Star Wars fan, or if you were a Star Wars fan, there's no other game that's ever going to be like that. What a story, like for a video game that's like an RPG. Man, just thinking about it, man, it's taking me back there. So I don't know. Go play KOTOR 1. Go watch Godfather Part 2. Go watch Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Watch the Red Letter Media review. I've said this before about Good, Bad, and the Ugly. It's the Red Letter Media review, Good, Bad, and the Ugly. And they really hit the nail on the head with just about everything. And play KOTOR 1. I don't know. Good night, everybody. It's 2:30. I think it's time we all go to bed. See you guys.